welcome the magnificent assembly.
Good morning. Namaskar. Dr. Mogaraya, dignitaries of the days, ICETE 2020 Multiconference is up and running, and I'm here to welcome you all to the inaugural program of the inaugural function of this conference. Initially, when we thought about having this conference this year, it was supposed to be offline conference, but later on it turned out to be, we found it difficult to conduct offline. But still, we wanted to have a proper inaugural program, at least, in the sense that a chief guest be present amidst us in the campus and address all of us as well as the virtual viewers. So that was the idea. Thanks to virtual platforms, we are on our way in conducting this conference. And when we thought about having this inaugural program, as I said earlier, we wanted to have chief guests present here with us. When we approached Dr. Gopal Mogaraya to be the chief guest of this program and also give a keynote address, he readily agreed, considering this to be his family-like institution. So here I am extending a warm welcome to Dr. Gopal Mogaraya. Welcome you, sir. May I now request our principal, Dr. Niranjan Chaplin, to formally welcome Dr. Gopal Mogaraya. On stage, we have our principal, Dr. Niranjan Chaplinkar, who has been a great help throughout, and I extend a warm welcome to him too. Welcome, sir. I also welcome our vice principals, Dr. I.R. Mithantaya and Dr. Srinivas B.R. Both of them have been providing help whenever needed. I welcome you both, sir. I welcome my team members, Dr. Muralidhar, who is my fellow convener, and Dr. Venkatesh Kamath, who is the main secretary of the conference. I welcome you both, sirs. In the audience, we have Dr. Shankaran, director of our MBA Institute, and Dr. Sriniketan, director research. Dr. Parameshwaran is not here. Sri Yogesh Hegde, registrar of the campus, and we have our resident engineer, Dr. Srinath Shetty, and we have Mrs. Salini Sharma, the student welfare officer, and we have deans, Dr. Rajesh Shetty, the dean of alumni affairs and admissions, and we have Dr. Subramanya Bhatt, the dean of student affairs. I welcome you all to this function. I also welcome the program chairs of all the conferences who are present here, and deans, head of the various departments, professors, resident engineers, secretaries of various conferences, and central committee chairmen and members, teaching and non-teaching staff who are present here. I also extend a warm welcome to all the participants who are watching this program online. Welcome one and all.
On behalf of all of us present here, a very cordial welcome, Professor Dr. Sudesh Bekal.
May I now call upon Dr. Muralidhara, PG Coordinator and Convener, ICTE 2020, to brief about the conference.
dignitaries on and off the dais, very good morning to all. This conference series is started in the year 2002 as a PG Fest to provide a platform for the PG students to present their papers, research works that they have carried during their second year main project. So from there, this conference series has started, and to correct, small correction to the MCs, this is the 10th conference, international conference, and this international conference is started in 2011, which was the silver jubilee year of NMAMIT, 25th years. On that occasion, we have started this international conference on emerging trends in engineering, ICETE. And in the 2019, we thought we should conduct different conferences, because what we felt was it is very difficult to publish the papers in the Scopus indexed journals or conference proceedings, because they don't accept papers from all the streams in a single conference proceeding. So we started a multi-conference concept in the 2019, and today's conference is the second multi-conference that we are organizing. So there are totally 6 different conferences being conducted under Multiconference ICT 2020. All the papers received have been tested for plagiarism content, and only those papers with less than 25% plagiarism content have been reviewed by 2 domain experts. Based on the comments received, the papers are recommended for the presentation in the different conferences. So to start with, the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Information Science and Engineering, Master of Computer Applications are jointly organizing International Conference on Artificial Intelligence and Data Engineering, ICETE-2020, with heads of the department, Dr. Uday Kumar Reddy, Dr. Karthik Pai and Dr. Surendra Shetty, respectively, as the program chairs. They have received total 99 research manuscripts, out of which 41 papers have been selected for the conference, and papers will be published in the Springer lecture series, Advances in Intelligent Systems and Computing. 41 papers will be presented in 4 different sessions, and they have 3 invited talks with the experts from India and abroad. International Conference on Civil Engineering Trends and Challenges for Sustainability, CTCS 2020, is organized by Department of Civil Engineering, with the head of the department, Dr. Arun Kumar Bhatt, as the program chair, and Dr. Bojraj Shetty and Dr. Sriram P. Marathe as the conference secretaries. They have received 175 research manuscripts, and finally they have selected 91 papers for the conference, and the papers will be presented in 14 sessions. And they have 2 invited talks from the experts from India and abroad. Department of Mechanical Engineering is organizing International Conference on Smart Trends and Sustainable Developments in Materials, Manufacturing and Energy Engineering, SME 2020, with the head of the department, Dr. Shashikant Karinka, as the program chair, and Dr. Vijay Shvi and Dr. Uday Devadiga as the conference secretaries. Under this conference, we have received 138 research manuscripts from the India and abroad. After plagiarism test and the review process, 68 papers have been selected for the presentation during the conference. So the papers will be published in 3 proceedings and journals. One is Materials Today Proceedings, second one is MATEC Web of Conferences, and third one is IOP Conference Series, Material Science and Engineering. So they will be having 17 sessions during the conference, and they have arranged 3 invited talks, 2 from India and 1 from abroad. Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering is organizing International Conference on VLSI, Signal Processing, Power Electronics, IoT, Communication and Embedded System, VSPICE 2020, with the head of the department, Dr. Rekha Bhandarkar, as the program chair, and Dr. K.S. Shivaprakasha as the conference secretary. They have received total 76 research papers, and after plagiarism test and review process, 37 papers have been selected for the conference, and the papers will be published in Springer Lecture Notes in Electrical Engineering. The papers will be presented in 6 sessions, and they have arranged 2 invited talks during the conference. Department of Electrical and Electronics Engineering is organizing international conference on advances in renewable energy and electric vehicles, ICETE-2020, with the head of the department, Dr. Nagesh Prabhu, as the program chair, and Dr. Surya Narayana as the conference secretary. A total of 101 papers have been received for the conference, and after peer review, 36 papers have been selected for the presentation during the conference. They have totally 6 online sessions, and the selected papers will be published in Springer Lecture Notes in Electrical Engineering. Then last one is the International Conference on Affordable Strategies for Health, Environment and Food Technology, ICETE-2020, is being organized by the Department of Biotechnology Engineering, with the head of the department, Dr. Vaman Rao, as the program chair, and Dr. Anil Kumar KS as the conference secretary. 17 papers have been accepted for presentation during the conference, and they will be publishing the papers in Research Journal of Biotechnology, and they will be having 3 different sessions, and they have arranged 2 invited talks. So in summary, total of 610 papers have been received for the multi-conference ICETE-2020, and about 290 papers have been selected, 279 from India and 11 from abroad, for the presentation in the conference in total 50 sessions. Total 14 invited talks with the 7 Indian experts and 7 experts from the abroad. All these selected papers will be presented through online mode due to the existing COVID-19 standard operating procedures. Even though this may hinder one-to-one interaction between the delegates of the conference, I am sure that they will have opportunity to interact with the presenter during the online presentation of the papers. I wish all the participants to have a fruitful deliberation during Multi-Conference 2020. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
As the saying goes, company of good people is like walking into a shop of perfumes. Whether you buy the perfume or not, you are bound to receive the fragrance. Ladies and gentlemen, we are graced with a towering personality as the chief guest and inaugurator with us. Mr. Srinivas Nekkar will now introduce Professor Dr. Gopal Mogaraya to this august gathering.
We are indeed blessed to have an exemplary scholar as the chief guest and the inaugurator of the ICETE-2020, Professor Dr. Gopal Mogaraya, Director, National Institute of Technology, Goa. Dr. Gopal Mogaraya, born and brought up in the nearby Munkur village, obtained his BTech and MTech in Chemical Engineering from NITK Surathkal and his PhD from the prestigious Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru. Further, he obtained his postdoctoral degree from the University of California, Riverside, USA. He served at NITK Surathkal for 25 years as a professor and dean. Professor Mogaraya has guided about 20 MTech and 10 PhD theses. He has published in more than 100 international journals in the area of chemical engineering. He had the privilege to serve as a visiting professor at Asian Institute of Technology, Bangkok, Monash University, Australia, and Colombo Plan Staff College for Technical Education, Manila. He also served as an advisor to AICTE and a chairman of Pollution Control Board, Karnataka. Dr. Gopal Mogaraya had a special privilege as one of the technical experts accompanying the President of India during his official tour to China in 2016. He also attended the BRICS conference in 2018 at Moscow, presided by the President of Russia. Last 4 years, Dr. Mogaraya served as the director of NIT Agartala and Mizoram. Presently, he is the director of National Institute of Technology, Goa. Dr. Mogaraya, a towering personality, is connected to NMAMIT in various official capacities and also the father of our proud alumnus, Mr. Abhishek Mogaraya. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you a distinguished personality, Professor Dr. Gopal Mogaraya.
Thank you, sir.
May I now request the chief guest, Professor Dr. Gopal Mogaraya, to inaugurate the ceremony by lighting the lamp. I request the dignitaries on stage to please join.
Om Asatoma Sadgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritangamaya. Light is that which leads us from unreal to real, from darkness to light, and from ignorance to knowledge.
Light is the root, the nourisher, and the support of life. As the dispeller of darkness and demonic power, light also stands for the order and regularity of the world and the awakened state of the self.
Thank you all.
On behalf of all present here, we request Professor Dr. Gopal Mogaraya to inaugurate ICTE 2020 and to make the keynote address on relevance of interdisciplinary research in engineering education.
Namaskar. Very good morning to each one of you present here. A respected principal of the institute, my good friend Niranjan Chaplankar, respected deans, Dr. Sriniketan, my senior colleague, we have been colleagues for the last 35 years in Suratkal, Yogi Shagda, my senior in BTech program, deans, respected colleagues, and also my good friend and chairman of Nitte group, Sri Vinay Hegdeji, who is virtually, he just now called me that he will be present virtually, and also Vishal Hegde, he will be present, and all the participants who are going to be here on a virtual mode. Good morning, greetings to each one of you present here. It's a great honor for me to inaugurate this prestigious conference in a virtual mode. I should congratulate the organizers for choosing such an topic in this pandemic situation, and instead of having a face-to-face, of course, it's inevitable, they have to go for virtual. In fact, we are going to have our convocation of NIT Goa on 28th on a virtual mode, but it's inevitable. You have to pardon me because I traveled by road, a bit tired, but still to make my presentation as possible. It is said that, I was telling to Niranjan Chaplankar, for an inauguration, you should never call a lawyer or a professor, for the reason that for a lawyer to open the mouth you have to pay, for a professor to close the mouth you have to pay. But I'll take my time to the restricted. I've been given 30 minutes of time, and since it's a heterogeneous type of crowd, I would not be touching of each areas, because I have been trained in chemical engineering. There's no point in talking on chemical engineering. So as the inaugural keynote address, first 8 minutes I'll talk on the basics of teaching learning process as well as the ethics of research. The remaining 12 minutes I'll talk on what are the areas you have to really highlight. And to conclude, another 8 minutes, I'll talk on what exactly the message for the research students. I am told there are 60% of the faculty are present here. The 30% are the students, research students, and the remaining are the undergraduate students. I'm requesting him because, can you go to the next? Yeah. If you go back to the Einstein's definition of education, he said that education is not the learning of facts, but the training of mind to think. But what is exactly happening is that we always believe in giving more information to the students. For the last 10 years, the whole system of teaching learning process has changed. It has changed from the faculty-centric to the student-centric. When we were the student, the job of a teacher to give more information. But now, the students have got more information than the teacher. But the job of a teacher is to convert that information into the knowledge. So synthesis of the information into the knowledge is the definition of education, for which it's more important that we have to train the students into the mode of thinking. It was said initially that don't get your child a fish, teaching how to fish. But now that things have changed. It's not only teach him how to fish, tell him the importance of fishing. So a job of a teacher to tell him what exactly the higher education is. Because what's happening nowadays is that when the students enter the first standard in Indian education system, 90% of these kids in the first standard, they have a different opinion about education. But when they come to the 12th standard, 90% of the students will have only one opinion, that they have to crack JE or CET or what else and get into education, get into engineering or medicine. Then do what? None of them know. If you just have a discussion with the third-year students, invariably, because I visited more than about 50 institutions, they lack what exactly focus is. Either they go for a job, nobody wants to work on a profession. I always tell the students, a job with a passion is called a profession. That's why I told Niranjan Saab now that a teaching is not a job, it's a profession. And I'm very happy that Nitte group has retained the faculty for more than 20 years. The attrition rate is very less. That shows the health of the institution, that when a faculty is recruited and retained in institution, they'll try to develop the research culture in the institute, and the institution will grow. Because many institutions I've seen, they say, I'm going to start in a center of excellence. There's no point in starting a center of excellence. The excellence has to emerge. When a department grows or matures, then the excellence is the offshoot of their growth. Now, what exactly said that? The excellence is the destination, research is the journey, and the relevance is what's called as the driving force. Can you go to the next? Yeah. As the definition says that sa vidyaya vimuktaye. That means the education should liberate us from the problems of life. But it doesn't do now. Because does it address the skill? Doesn't. So as we get educated, we should be deprived of the problems of life. So this is called sa vidyaya vimuktaye. So the focus should be that whatever the research you do should address the philosophy of the life, that it should help the life. Go to the next. The next question is, the student, why should I learn? Why should I do research? Why should I study? First, they'll go for examination. Because as you know, for a heat transfer, delta T is important. For a momentum transfer, delta P is important. For a mass transfer, delta C is important. So the gradient is very, very important. Similarly, student, why should I study? The first is for examination. The next, for the knowledge. The next, for the success. And next, for the impact. So when this reaches the epitome of the learning process, then the student becomes complete. But what's happening now? After the examination, at the end of the 4th year, they throw all their books and they restart. And it said that 70% of the engineers go to finance or MBA. Neither they forget the basic engineering, nor they get into the new system. So exactly the research culture should come, that the impact is the ultimate aim of any teaching learning process. Let's go to the next. Yeah. Now the next thing is that, see, unfortunately I've seen this COVID-19 has put all of us into a severe jolt, socially, economically, and emotionally, right? So we are not in a position to smile at each other. Of course, laugh at each other is not required. I can't even recognize. See, Dr. Sriniketan and myself, used to have tea for more than almost 30 years together. Now we can't even talk to each other with the covered face. So that means that we are socially, emotionally, economically, we are separated. But it's inevitable. Now we have to come to the state where exactly. But what's happening in a professional institution is that more than the classroom, they study outside. The learning together and working together and excelling together is missing in this present education system. In fact, if at all I'm smart today, it's because 7 years I spent my beautiful days in the hostels of NIT Suratkal. Because we learn a lot in the hostel by the peer interactions. Go to the next. This very important slide. All of us, by structure, we always believe in the rat race. First, we go for marks. After 8th standard, everybody said you should score 90%, 100%, if possible more than 100%. So initially, we rat race for the marks. Then afterwards, we go for wealth. We need an ambassador car initially, later go for Mercedes. Then recognition. We have to be called everywhere. We should get Bharat Ratna everywhere. So we always race called a rat race. But ultimately what will happen? There will be always some winning rats. They'll get into complex. And there will be losing rats. They'll get into depression. But ultimately, they remain as rats, not as human beings. So what is exactly important? Don't compete with others, but compare with yourself. Go to the next. Now, the topic of relevance here is the excellence relevance. So I spoke to you before that we always talk about we have to excel, but the relevance is missing. The skill component is missing. In fact, in India, we have more commanders than the soldiers. Tell me one institution in India where the students will go for diploma by choice. They go by default. We have IITs, we have NITs, we have so many private institutions to get into the engineering stream. But if a boy really wants to do a diploma, there's no single institute in India where they can be worthy, can go by choice. Exactly. We have more commanders, we have less of soldiers. Now this has to have their relevance. So the boy has to decide what exactly he wants to be. If he doesn't want to study much, get into diploma and be a successful engineer, as a floor engineer, why not? But what exactly is missing is that in the teaching learning process, there are three called knowledge assimilation, knowledge dissemination, and knowledge generation. Now, in the conventional teaching learning process, we take the information from the Google or anywhere, we try to transfer it to the notebook of the student. Sometimes the transfer of material from the notebook of the teacher to the notebook of the student without entering the brain of either. It should not happen. So there should be knowledge generation. That's why this conference focuses on the relevance of research. The research should be the integral part of teaching learning process. When a teacher involves in research, he'll improve his knowledge and his quality of teaching learning process definitely increases. I always tell in my speech that an institution cannot be built by bricks or contractors. It has to be built by the people. People, I mean teachers, students, teaching learning process, and teacher-taught relations. Today, IITs are great not because of the buildings or auditorium or hostel, because of the quality teachers, quality students, quality teaching learning process, and quality teacher-taught relations. So this has to develop. I'm very happy that because from my family, see, Nitte group is very close to me for the last 3 decades. 7 of my family members are studied, including my son, got education here. I'm very proud of my teachers because there are so many commitments. And also, Yogi Shegde, everybody is so affectionate because there's a saying in Sanskrit that Shunvanto Vishwa Amritasya Putra. That means the teacher has to love the student first. We are not here to punish a student because every student is born with a light. The duty of a teacher is to shine that and get him to the society. Shunvanto Vishwa Amritasya Putra. It has a lot of meaning on that. So the job of a teacher to see the plus point of a student and then nourish him and get the best out of it. That's called as the teaching learning process. Yeah. Now what's happening is that, this is a very interesting slide. We still in the old domain. If you go to the Gurukula system, this is saying from Upanishad, and I just quoted from here. Acharyat padam adate, padam shishya samedhya, padam sabramacharabhya, padam kalakramena cha. That means a student gets quarter of knowledge from his teacher, and a quarter from his own intelligence, samedhya, and quarter from his co-students, that means peer interaction, and a quarter from his experience of life. Padam kalakramena cha. That means that the job of a teacher is to enlighten him and get involved. You should appreciate. But what do we do, the teachers? If a student is very good, keep quiet in the class, scores 90%, he is graded as the best student. And other students who are little, you always say, when a student answers the question, you grade him as best. When a student questions the answer, then he is graded as bad. But such students do extremely well. Because of my 36 experience as a teacher, I've seen these boys, when they go out, they do extremely well. That's why I always say, don't cover the syllabus. They say, teachers say, I take 36 hours to cover the syllabus. Don't cover the syllabus, just to uncover the syllabus, so that students will know what exactly is happening. Go to the next. Yeah, these are the qualities of a research mind. You should have an inquiry spirit. You should have critical analysis. You should have good discipline. Articulation should be very important, and hard work, and ability to experiment and synthesize. This is one of the very good quality of a research scholar. And innovative thinking, perseverance, and focus on the objective. Now, in addition to that, one of the bad quality of our Indian research student is that they won't interact. They want to work on silos. If I'm a mechanical engineer, I will not interact with the electronics engineer, and the electronics will not interact with the computer science. There's no question of interactions. So this particular conference will focus on that, because in the same laboratory also, the student doesn't share their expertise to each other. In fact, one of the students was jokingly telling that my research is so secret, then I don't know what I'm doing. It should not happen that. So you should always interact with your own colleagues, your own peers, your own, so that at the end of the day, always, I'll give you a simple, it's out of context, but it's quite relevant how exactly is. Lower middle class, there are people, they were wanting to go to their office. They were in the queue in the bus stand to get into the bus because they can't afford to go by taxi. One beggar comes and takes money from everybody and he goes by taxi. The whole logic is that when you get information from everybody and then get and combine this, you will be in a better position than each one of them. So that's exactly required. In this such interdisciplinary world, very important that, in fact, if you see, the mechanical engineers do more on computer science than, I'm not offending them, don't miss it otherwise. They do more computer-based work than other engineers. In fact, the chemical engineers are the best in mathematics. In fact, there's a book called Amundsen, written by a chemical engineer, a mathematics book. So this interdisciplinary interactions are required, and you should always encourage the research students to involve in these activities. Yeah. Now let's come back to the topic. I thought I should brush in, otherwise you'll think that I come and talk about the education. I've been asked to speak few words about this research. Let me admit that I'm not a great researcher in all this area, but however, I just pin my ideas in this so that it'll be some of the ideas we can take it off in the presentation. I'm told there are more than 300 presentations with the domain experts. They will focus more on this compared to me. Now, according to me, the interdisciplinary research is a mode of research that integrates the information and data, techniques, tools, perspectives, and concepts, and solve problems whose solutions are beyond the scope of a single discipline. It's very relevant that as individual, I'm a chemical engineer, I may not solve. Suppose when we, in fact, I'm very happy to say that Kamath knows, in NIT Suratkal Chemical Department was the first department in India to start an MTech program in industrial biotechnology. Because it is interdisciplinary, it's chemical engineering, because we are very weak in biological sciences, but we took a venture. As today, it's one of the second out of 27 MTech programs. After VLSI design, the most preferred MTech program is industrial biotechnology. because it has got a relevance to the nature. Not only getting job, the students appreciate the effort done in this program. Go to the next. I just, for our reference, I just brushed through this. These are the areas, interdisciplinary areas, where you can pinpoint. One is the ancient world. You know, you might say that the ancient world may not know about the interdisciplinary or research. In fact, it is said that Devatas, they used to enjoy somaras, which is an alcohol, which is a product of biotechnology. In fact, when a tiger kills the prey, it doesn't eat immediately. It keeps overnight and then eats, because your tiger knows a fermented meat tastes better than a raw meat. So the biotechnology was known at the time also. But unfortunately, the shape was not given. Later, in the interdisciplinary areas, now we will find that science, initially science department in any engineering institution for last 10 years back, it was only supporting department. But now, science department has become an integral part of the research, because engineers are weak in science. When they complement each other, there will be better results. If we talk about artificial intelligence, we have application in smartphones, e-commerce, agriculture, healthcare, banking, social media, navigation, smart home devices, and many of these applications. I'm very sure this will be covered by the domain experts. Next, about the agricultural applications, if we see, agriculture was one of the very neglected area in India. It was done unscientifically. Thanks to our Honorable Prime Minister, he has given more emphasis that now it's more emphasis on the use of AI in agriculture. I'm very sure they're going to touch upon all these crop spraying, use of drone and imaging and soil characteristics, because previously the farmers are not knowing which crop to grow, which soil. Now there's a scientific data available now that if you just log into that, you'll find if you want to grow particular sugar cane, which area is better. Depends on the soil condition, soil strata, the rainfall rate, and all other parameters, humidity. Go to the next. This is fine. Go to the next. Yeah. We have agriculture robots. It's not applicable in India too much because of the divided sectors. Crop soil monitoring. It's in fact we have some areas in Goa. We are trying out for this because I do work in Goa. Goa is known to only for tourism. Now it's completely changed. I want to say these few words that Goa has grown to a beautiful education hub. We have NIT, we have IIT, we have BITS, we have 2 more institutions. IIM is going to come, so that at the end of the day, we want how Goa is to be the education hub of India. The same model is true for Mangalore also. You'll be surprised to know there are 14 engineering colleges, 7 medical colleges, pharmacy colleges, dental colleges, paramedical colleges. We have 28,000 higher education students in Mangalore city, which is unique in India. Because once the higher education students come to the area, the whole fragrance and texture of the city will change. We want, and I am happy that Nitte group has been contributing to this because of the Kshema. These are some of the photographs to impress some of the ideas. And the healthcare. Now the AI in healthcare has become very, very unique during this pandemic, COVID, because we are not in a position to meet doctors or nurses. So it has given a very good ideas. In fact, the drug discovery, customer service boards, digital consultation, dosage error evaluation, and neural net for clinical trials. This all applied very nicely, and because of COVID, we got into it. Otherwise, this virtual mode was not at all, even though it's available, we never ventured for that. But now, inevitably, we went for this. Go to the next. Yeah. This is the AI application in the automobile industry, driver assistance, driver monitoring, and especially in the hybrid technology, it's very, very important. Also, the cyber security for your vehicles. The military systems, thanks to Parikar, he has developed so nicely in the military systems, remote control guns operated through the satellites, unmanned vehicles, unmanned aerial vehicles, drones, robotic surgical systems. All these are because of the advances in AI, which has application in the military sector. Yeah, administration, as you know, that now there's no paperwork, paperless administration. Everything is e-governance. e-governance in the office and she-governance in the house. So we are used to that. So we always go for this. In fact, in our all our administration system in NIT system, we go for the PFMS. In NIT Goa, we don't have cash section, no cash book, no checkbook, nothing. Everything is PFMS. So that it's very easy for us, transparent, and not only transparent, it's not soundproof also. Everybody can know what exactly happening in the system. So e-governance is one of the very important application in the administration. Go to next. The energy sector is known to everybody. Yes. Pharmaceutical. Now, this is an area where it's going to boom. India is looked towards by the all countries about the application of pharmaceuticals in our in that domain in India, and we are the pioneers. I'm very sure, not only in the vaccine manufacture, even in the other homeopathy and agriculture sector, I mean the Ayurvedic sector, India is one of the considered as one of the best destination for the pharmaceutical applications. Constructions. Now, this definitely they'll know that, in fact, our NIT Goa, you should come once, our new campus is coming up, is one of the international standard with a completely precast technology with a shear wall, and we are going to complete the complete campus within 1 year. We just started 1 month back. We have fixed the inaugural date also, 21st, 12/21st, within 1 year. You're going to be inaugurated by the Prime Minister. So such a technique is possible because of the latest developments. So otherwise, any campus takes about 10 to 12 years to start from scratch. We are going to complete within 14 months, the complete campus in total. So that's because of the latest technology, latest curing techniques. Am I exceeding the time? Yeah, just 10 minutes, okay. And the nanotechnology, as you know, right from the biosensors, the precision farming, pesticides, soil quality, sustainable intensification, and nanobiosensors, were all used by the agriculture sector. Medicines, yeah, in the environmental protection, because environmental is one of the very delicate area. Sorry, in my introduction, I was never a chairman of Pollution Control Board. I was a chairman of Technical Advisory Committee, correction, because it goes on record. I was not a chairman of Pollution Control Board. I was the chairman of Technical Advisory Committee of Pollution Control Board. So we are involved with this. Myself, Dr. Sriniketan, we are involved with this lot of activities with respect to the environmental protection as well as the sustainable development. In fact, I got the national award because of the conversion of coconut coir with biofertilizer using the biotechnology. In fact, it was scaled up and it was used very well in one of the sectors. Yeah. Nanomaterials, go to the next. Yeah. Now, friends, before we conclude, I know that I went through the different papers. It covers in details all of the sectors. The reason I have brushed through this that there's no point in talking to each one of these. But unless you join biology, ecology, communication, medicine, physics, space science, history, political sciences, an amalgamation has to happen to get a focus to the development. A synergic networking between all the major areas envisages as the key for the successful research. And the domain experts will discuss in detail in these areas. Before I complete, I want to address the two sectors. One is for the faculty, research students, other for the students. Yes. Now, these are the qualities which is required for a research student or a student. Is told by, mentioned in the Upanishad. It says that, Kakachestu bakodhyanam swaranidra tataivacha alpahari grahatyagi iti vidyarthi lakshanam. That means a student should be alert like a crow and should have concentration like a crane and a sleep like a dog that wakes up very fast, and a student should eat less, he should not eat more, and he should be devoid of the emotional attachment of the, that doesn't mean that he should forget his parents, but he should not have any emotional attachment. Kaka chesto bakodhyano swananidra tatoyacha alpahari grahatyagi iti vidyarthi panchalakshanam. If you inculcate these points, students, definitely you'll be succeeding in your education. But more important is that the teacher's role. Go to the next. Yeah. Now, what's happening in the teaching learning process that It's a part of, I always say, in fact I told Vinay Hegdeji that I had gone as a chairman for so many NBA institutions. There they say, teachers getting is very easy, I say. You just throw the peanut, you'll get. But I always say, if you throw a peanut, you'll get only monkeys, you'll not get any faculty. We want a good quality faculty. If you want to build an institute, invest on faculty. If you invest on faculty, the institution will always will cherish and go up. Because, and not only see, any house where there's no respect for the housewife, that house will not flourish. Any institutions which there's no respect for the faculty, that institution will not flourish. It's not a question of money. So I always say that the management should take care of the faculty, and faculty should not work for the money. That's why teaching is not a job, it's a profession. A job is a passion called a profession. When you do that, automatically the teacher will get a respect. That's why I always said in Sanskrit also that Swadeshe Pujyate Raja Vidwan Sarvatra Pujyata. That means a king is honored only in his kingdom, whereas a Vidwan is always respected everywhere in the universe. So let us build together a good teaching learning system here. I wish that the management has heard this very well and respect the teacher, support them, allow them to grow well, so that there will be more ambience of teaching learning process. So before I end, this is my parting talk, always for every human being, you should call dew. Dew is a beautiful water drop on the leaves. The dew has a meaning. D stands for dream big, E stands for enjoy the life, and W is for work hard. Dream big because don't limit your achievement. Enjoy the life because each moment is very precious for each one of us. Work hard because otherwise you can't make a history. And always, friends, research should be the integral part of teaching learning process. With these few words, I once again thank the organizers for giving me an opportunity of this part of this prestigious conference. I should admit that I am not a great researcher, but I am a good facilitator. And I joined this, one of the important things, I joined this profession by choice 34 years back. I'm very proud to say that. So thank you very much. Namaskar, Jai Hind, Vande Mataram.
Thank you very much for your enlightening words, sir.
ICETE 2020 Conference Compendium has about 300 scholarly papers by experts highlighting various topics which shall be presented in these 2 days from various corners of the world. May I now request Dr. Gopal Mogaraya to release the compendium. I call upon Dr. Kumudakshi and Dr. Raghavendra Bairi, compendium editors, to please join. Congratulations to the compendium editors. Thank you all.
If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. Our leader, Principal Dr. Niranjan Chiplunkar, has been cornerstone in organizing all the ICTEs. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me to request Dr. Niranjan Chiplunkar to make the presidential remarks.
Very good morning to one and all present here and also watching this program live on YouTube. At the outset, I wish to thank Professor Gopal Mogaraya for accepting our invitation and also for giving a wonderful keynote covering three important aspects which are very connected to all of us. That is teaching learning, research, which he mentioned it has to be multidisciplinary and must have some relevance not only with an academic interest but also do the research which has relevance and which at the end of the day will help to improve the life of the human mankind. And also he gave some tips to the faculty and the students, highlighting their role in the current circumstances. Respected Professor Mogaraya, Vice Principals, Dr. Sudesh Bekal, Dr. Muralidhar, Dr. Kamath, and all the chairpersons and secretaries of various conferences under this big umbrella of ICETE, Dr. Shankaran, Dr. Sriniketan, Professor Yogi Shegde, all deans and heads of the departments who are present here and also watching this program live. At the outset, I'm very happy to note that this long journey of what it started as a PG Fest in the year 2003 or 4, right from then I was associated. In fact, I was the first convener of the PG Fest when it was started. That time, in 2002, I remember we had started our MTech program in digital electronics to begin with, and we thought that, that time there was no much platform provided to MTech students to present their project work and their research findings. So that is how it started then. Maybe for 2 or 3 or 4 years, it continued as state level PG Fest. Then for next 3 or 4 years, we organized it as a national conference. And as it was rightly mentioned by Dr. Muralidhar, in the year 2011, we converted it to an international conference. And last year, by looking at the variety of papers that we started getting from different domains, we converted it as a multi-conference. Even though we were not very, very well prepared to host that multi-conference because it was the first of its kind in this college, but with all the support and coordination amongst different departments, we could successfully hold that multi-conference. In this time of COVID pandemic, everything is going online, and even this conference is not an exception. We have been talking about blended classroom, and because of this physical inauguration of the conference and further proceedings through online, this conference has also gone blended now. So in this conference, it has been said about various sub-conferences and number of papers that are going to be presented and so on. And we have, since nobody mentioned about the guest speakers, of course their names and then affiliations, I thought I'll do that here. We have Dr. David Scott Dorman from University of Buffalo, New York, USA, giving an invited lecture on the artificial intelligence related domain. Dr. R.V. Kulakarni from SIBR Kolhapur is also giving a talk that is tomorrow morning. And we have Mr. Bhuvan Shetty, I'm very happy to mention that he is our alumnus, and right now he is the Senior Sales and Strategic Partnership EU Digital Business Munich, Germany. He told us that he will also join live now in this particular inauguration program. Then we have Dr. Sanjeev Kumar Padmanabhan from Aalborg University, Denmark. Dr. N. Lakshmi Narasamma from IIT Madras. Dr. S. Venkatamohan, Senior Principal Scientist, CSIR, IICT Hyderabad. Dr. Harish Kumar Madhyastha, University of Miyazaki, Japan. Dr. Rizal Karim from Dhaka University of Engineering and Technology, Bangladesh. Dr. Nagesh Kumar, Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru. Mr. V.V. Kamath, Managing Director of Fronius India Private Limited. Dr. Chandrasekhar Yaramalli from Indian Institute of Technology, Mumbai. Dr. Prasad Yerlagada from Queensland University of Technology, AU. Dr. Pei Kin Leon from Singapore University of Technology and Design. And finally, Dr. U.C. Niranjan from Manipal.net, Manipal. So these are the guest speakers addressing the researchers and the delegates of this conference under various sub-conferences. I'm happy the kind of support and encouragement that has been given from our management. Normally for all our international conferences, or most of them, Sri N. Vinay Hegde used to preside over the function, but because of his personal reasons, he could not attend. But however, just before coming to this particular venue, he has wished every success, and we are really thankful for such a very supportive management that we have, and because of which, as Professor Gopal Mogaraya rightly mentioned, we have faculty on our rolls for more than 25-30 years. So that itself indicates the kind of involvement that they show in all teaching, learning and research activities. And I'm also very happy to say here that a couple of centers of excellences that have been developed over the time is because, over the last couple of years, is because of the research work that is happening in every department. We did not start a center of excellence and then started off with the research, but actually it was the other way around. So a lot of research activities started. When all of that reached to a particular level, we thought that we should give a particular, a forum for it, so that students and other researchers from neighboring institute also can make use of the facilities and the expertise available in that. I don't want to touch upon various research activities that are happening in the college, but only to wish to say that in the NIRF 2021, for which the application process has just begun, they have asked for one more category of research level institutions. And I'm very happy to inform all of you that along with engineering, management, overall category, we also have applied under research category this time. And you may be aware that to become eligible to apply under research category, there were 2 points. Either one of them we should have satisfied. One is minimum 500 plus papers in last 3 years in Scopus indexed or Web of Science journals, and we have more than 570 papers presented in these two in last 3 years. So because of that, we are eligible and we have applied, and hope that this beginning will take this institute to next higher level in the years to come. Already Professor Mogaraya has touched upon various research areas which researchers are these days dwelling into. I just would like to mention 6 points which were highlighted in a recent article on emerging trends, not necessarily research, but emerging trends. Many a times these research activities which are carried out by the faculty and researchers will lead to these trends. So one is AI, as you rightly put it, which has seen its importance in all walks of life. It could be healthcare, it could be agriculture, it could be automotive, whatever it is. We talk about autonomous system, vehicles, drones. Everywhere we see that AI and machine learning and deep learning applications. Big data, because of this IoT, we have lots of sensors deployed in different applications in different fields. And each of the sensor will read huge data, and this data has to be processed before we draw some conclusion out of it. So IoT and sensors provide such huge data, and 5G, which is talked about in the communication segment, it boosts the data transmission speed by a factor of maybe 5 to 100. This is what has been said compared to 4G network. So because of the huge data, huge transmission speed that is made available through the communication network, this big data analysis becomes little more easier, and also the huge computing power that we have at our disposal. We have been talking about industry 4.0 with lots of these recent technologies, but they were all present there, or they are, even today they are present, but they are all in their own silos. We may take example of cyber security, blockchain, virtual reality, all of them are in their own silos. But so because of this, there are two advantages since they are on silos. As a user, he can pick and play whatever he wants. So it allows mix and match of best of the class applications. It's not that you have everything packaged in one lot, either you use it or don't use it. It's not like that. You will have solutions in various such advanced technologies. Depending on your application, you can select the ones, and then you can make your business to flourish further. And we are seeing more and more complex products that are being built. The complex from the engineer's perspective to build them, but they are all have to be as simple as possible from the user's perspective. So that is being the focus, which is a very recent trend that is happening: 3D printing, blockchain, and resilient systems. That is, we need to develop what is called foolproof systems against any supply chain disruptions that we have seen in the recent past, predominantly because of the COVID. There are bans in the international travel, even the goods, if at all we want to procure it from elsewhere, there are so many hurdles in the supply chain. But the systems that we need to build and then develop must be a resilient ones. And Professor Mogaraya already has mentioned about the multidisciplinary projects and the research. I believe these are the various trends that have started picking up, and this COVID has thrown lots of opportunities, challenges, and it is up to us to convert them into what is useful and what is best to the humankind. With that, once again, I thank Professor Gopal Mogaraya, all of you, and my special thanks to Dr. Kumudakshi and Dr. Raghavendra Bairi for coming out with that beautiful compendium, so many various conference compendiums, and also Dr. Sudesh Bekal, Dr. Muralidhar, Dr. Venkatesh, and all the chairs of various conferences, because it is very difficult, I know, arranging one conference at an institute level. This is an institution level conference. Apart from these conferences, we will have lots of other international conferences that have happened and that are going to happen also. But when such is a conference where involvement, equal participation that is required from different departments, it's really a challenge, but they have taken it to their heart. They have worked very hard, and this is the result of all that. So once again, thanking all of you, I wish the conference every success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Learning to be thankful and regularly expressing gratitude is an important part of personal happiness. Being thankful gives us an appreciation for what we have. I call upon Dr. Venkatesh Kamath, Conference Secretary, to propose the words of gratitude.
A warm and cherished morning to our most valued Honorable Chief Guest, Professor Dr. Gopal Mogaraya, Dr. Niranjan Chiplunkar, organizing heads of ICETE 2020, organizing heads of various conferences, all the dignitaries present offline and online, all the conference delegates, and my dear colleagues. Being organizing secretary, it is my privilege to propose a vote of thanks and acknowledge the contribution of those who have worked hard to conduct this inaugural program and this ICETE 2020 successfully. On behalf of organizers of ICETE 2020, I thank Professor Dr. Gopal Mogaraya, Director, NIT Goa, for inaugurating this multi-conference and sharing his valuable words of wisdom out of his vast experience and knowledge with us. Sir, amidst your busy schedule in this challenging times of COVID-19 pandemic, you wholeheartedly accepted our invitation for this function and graced this occasion. We are very thankful for the love and support that you have been extending to this institute and this multiple conference in particular. As a token of respect and gratitude, I request our beloved principal, Dr. Niranjan Chiplunkar, to hand over a memento to today's chief guest of the function, Professor Gopal Mogaraya. The memento, a stone powder cast model of Hampi Stone Chariot, a World Heritage Site located in Karnataka state of India. Thank you, sir. Shri Vinay Hegdeji, President of Nitte Education Trust, has been lending his fullest support towards this conference since its inception. On behalf of organizing team, I wholeheartedly extend my gratitude to the patron of this multi-conference, Shri Vinay Hegdeji and Nitte Education Trust. Thank you, sir. Our beloved principal and president of this inaugural program, Dr. Niranjan Chiplunkar, has been instrumental in organizing this multi-conference. In this time of difficult and uncertain situations amidst COVID-19 pandemic, Professor Chiplunkar has been guiding us at all stages. Sir, on behalf of organizing team, I thank you for your fullest support and cooperation to organize this event. Our special thanks are to Dr. I. Ramesh Mitantaya, Vice Principal and Dean Academic, for his timely suggestions and support lent while organizing this program. Thank you, sir. I also thank Dr. Srinivasa Rao BR, Vice Principal and Controller of Examinations, for extending his fullest cooperation and support in this conference. Thank you, sir. The Chief Conveners of ICETE 2020, Dr. Sudesh Bekal, Dean R&D, and Dr. Muralidhara, PG Coordinator, require a special mention for their untiring support. Dr. Bekal and Dr. Muralidhara being the catalyst that inspired us to do our best and stand as a pillar of power. With a deep sense of appreciation, I thank them for their untiring efforts. Thank you, sirs. We have 6 different conferences being organized under ICETE 2020. We have been fortunate to be supported by a team of very active and dedicated faculty members of our institute. I thank all the conference chairs, Dr. C. Vaman Rao, Dr. Shashikant Karinka, Dr. Nagesh Prabhu, Dr. Uday Kumar Reddy, Dr. Karthik Pai, Dr. Surendra Shetty, Dr. Rekha Bhandarkar, Dr. Arun Kumar Bhatt, and their fully supportive team who have helped us unconditionally. Thank you all, sirs and madams. I take this opportunity to thank Shri Yogi Shegde, Registrar of NET Campus Nitte, Dr. G. Sriniketan, Dr. Shankaran for extending all the necessary support for this conference. Thank you, sirs. I thank all heads of institutes, head of departments, and all dignitaries off the stage, off the stage and online watching this particular program for attending this event. Thank you, sirs. A set of central supporting team is instrumental in coordinating several activities among various conferences. I thank all the chairs of Central Committee and their team, namely Dr. Subramanya Bhatt, Dr. Uday Kumar Shanai, Dr. Srinath Shetty, Dr. Gurraj Upadhyaya, Shri Krishnaraj Joisa, Dr. Kumadakshi, Dr. Raghavendra Bhairi, Dr. Grainal Di Mello, Dr. Roshan Fernandez, Dr. Ajit Hebbale, and Dr. Durga Prasad. Thank you, sirs and madam. A special thanks are due to Professor Vishwanatha and his team, who have designed and executed this inaugural program in a professional manner. My special thanks are to the Masters of Ceremony, Shri Sandeep Kharvi and Ms. Shruti M., who have conducted this inaugural session beautifully. Also, I thank the UG students Naveshri and Rachita and all the research scholars of Professor Muralidhara who have helped in arranging this inaugural function. I thank Professor Dinesh Shetty for the invocation. The value of this conference is weighed upon the quality of papers presented and published. It is next to impossible to have a good quality papers being presented without the help of our valued team of reviewers comprising professors from different institutions. I place on record my sincere gratitude to all our reviewers. I acknowledge our gratitude to the conference collaborators and publication partners. In a few moments from now, we will be witnessing a series of technical expert lectures followed by oral presentations by conference delegates. I thank all invitees and delegates for their contribution in making this conference a grand success. I thank all the delegates of the conference, viewers for supporting us in conducting this conference through online mode. I thank Press and Media and Prakash Studios for covering this event. I thank all those who have helped directly or indirectly in organizing this multi-conference. Dear ladies and gentlemen, once again, I would like to say that we are all most grateful to all of you for being a part of this conference. Thank you for being with us. It's a great pleasure. Thank you very much.
Contribution in executing ICETE 2020 by Dr. Venkatesh Kamath in the role of secretary is immense. Thank you, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now have come to the end of the formal inaugural program. The 6 conferences shall now begin in your respective virtual avenues. This international conference features scholarly speakers from various prestigious universities around the world.
Dr. Harish Kumar Madhyastha, Professor, Department of Applied Physiology, Faculty of Medicine, University of Miyazaki, Japan, and Dr. S. Venkata Mohan, Senior Principal Scientist and DBT Tata Innovation Fellow, Professor, Bioengineering and Environmental Sciences Lab, Department of Energy and Environmental Engineering, CSIR, Indian Institute of Chemical Technology, Hyderabad, shall speak in the field of biotechnology engineering as chef.
The guest speakers for AID are Dr. David Scott Dorman, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, School of Engineering and Applied Sciences, Institute for Artificial Intelligence, University at Buffalo, New York. Dr. R.V. Kulkarni, Professor and Head in Computer Studies, Shahu Institute of Business Education and Research, Kolhapur, and Mr. Bhuvan K. Shetty, Senior Sales and Strategic Partnerships, EU Digital Business, Munich, Germany.
Dr. Prasad Yarlagada, Professor in Smart Systems, School of Mechanical, Medical and Process Engineering, Queensland University of Technology, Australia. Professor Dr. Chandrasekhar Yerramalli, Aerospace Engineering Department, IIT Mumbai, and Mr. V.V. Kamath, Managing Director, Fronius India Private Limited, will be the guest speakers in the International Conference on Smart and Sustainable Developments in Materials, Manufacturing and Energy Engineering, SME, in the field of Mechanical Engineering.
Dr. U.C. Niranjan, Director of Research and Training, Manipal.net, Manipal, and Dr. Pei Kin Leong, Professor, Singapore University of Technology and Design, are the guest speakers for International Conference on VLSI, Signal Processing, Power Electronics, IoT, Communication and Embedded System, vSpice, in the stream of Electronics and Communications Engineering.
Dr. Mohammad Rasul Karim, Professor, Department of Civil Engineering, Dhaka University of Engineering and Technology, Ghazipur, Bangladesh, and Dr. D. Nagesh Kumar, Professor, Water Resources and Environmental Engineering, Department of Civil Engineering, IISc, Bengaluru, are the guest speakers for International Conference on Civil Engineering Trends and Challenges for Sustainability, CTCS, in the stream of civil engineering.
Dr. Sanjeevi Kumar Padmanabhan, Department of Energy Technology, Aalborg University, Denmark, and Dr. N. Lakshmi Narasamma, Associate Professor in Electrical Engineering, IIT Madras, are guest speakers for International Conference on Advances in Renewable Energy and Electric Vehicles, ARIV, in the field of Electrical and Electronics Engineering.
We wish everyone a great experience in ICETE 2020. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.